Alright, I guess we waited a long enough time. So, yeah, let's do the intro. Welcome everyone to round 7 of CWR in France, starting quali. And that's basically all you need to know. Well, as you can see, we have 12 drivers on the grid, which is substantially less than other races. And as you can also tell, and you will hear, that my co-commentator is also racing because we don't have enough drivers. Why aren't the drivers turning up? I am unable to tell you, honestly. Maybe it has to do something with the fact that we're racing in France, or people get demotivated from the championship battle, or among other 2,000 things. These informations don't really get to me, but yeah, I guess nobody that's watching this stream will have to put up with me commentating. So, yeah, 12 drivers. This promises to be a not so interesting race. Let's at least hope that people will try to keep it off the walls, off each other, and we can have a normal race. As was usually the case, this would be the time for me and Ducky to just do basically a podcast and rant about everything. But yeah, I guess we're gonna have to do the boring thing of doing actual quali. So yeah, 3 times already, and one of them is better than Preston. So that's at least a good thing. Lewis, he is always bragging in the chats about being Mr. France, the guy who always knows how to drive around France, so we expect big things from him. And just because of the curse that he has been given by the Ferrari gods, he is driving for the Red Bull and not for the Ferrari, so we are actually in hope that he will do something and not crash out immediately. So is the case with Mapmar. I guess people just want to abandon Ferrari as much as possible. So Matmar is in the Mercedes, and this partnership came to an end just like that. And yeah, Rysham's also switched teams to avoid the Williams dominance. Not sure how that's gonna work out as far as constructors goes, but he's gonna be teammates with Matmar, so still, I mean, kind of good. Kind of a good teammate, but definitely not the best. When we compare that to the fact that Jake Marsh was in the Mercedes throughout last races, and he is now in the Ferrari, and he's cutting the track, so yeah, sure, whatever. Yeah. So Jake Marsh is going to be fighting off the Ferrari curse this time. Skills Virus still stays in the Red Bull. Johto, yeah, is in the Williams, replacing Rhythms. So the Williams dominance may probably come to an end, and we would like that, but if only time will tell if that will actually happen. Apart from that, we also have a full lineup from the Alpha Tauris in Samuel and Hira. Don't know where Trigger has gone, and don't know where the racing points have gone, including Jordy. Cremo is starting as well. Timbed is replacing also someone who was in the Alfa Romeo that I cannot remember. And yeah, that's basically the lineup for you. Very interesting. Normally we would do like predictions and stuff, but that's not possible as well. So we're just gonna talk to ourselves and pretend that this quali is going to be interesting. My predictions are that we will have several DNFs to make this race as less exciting as is possible. A 50% race for 12 people, at least half of which will be towards the back immediately after lap 1. So this will just be a case of when will Lewis spin out, and who's gonna pull away first? Is it gonna be Rhythms and Preston? That's basically all that's gonna happen this race, in my opinion. Obviously, I would love to hear some reactions from the chat, but yeah, that's not gonna be possible anyway. Some say that this league, some may say that this league is dying, and from what we've seen so far, I am inclined to agree. But it's still possible this is just a one-off thing, but let's hope people will turn up next time. Maybe next season when we'll have an actually interesting championship battle. Maybe we will get a bigger attendance. Well, yeah. Welcome to the one other viewer who is watching this. I'm sure you're having a wonderful time. Anyway, half the field will be in the pit lane, as is always the case, with people waiting for the last possible moment to keep us waiting and then set their lap times. At least the lap times at the front are kind of close. At least the top three for now. Skills Virus has the tendency to keep being towards the front in quali, and then doesn't have the best results, but at least Spa was a little bit different, and Austria, that was an amazing race last week. Skills Virus and Preston had loads of battles, so at least something was happening there. As far as championship goes, Williams is absolutely dominating, double the points to the team in second place, which is Mercedes. Hopefully the driver changes will change this, at least a little bit. And then the Drivers' Championship, actually, Jake Marsh is splitting the two former Williams teammates, with him being 15 points behind Preston, who is in the lead, and then 2 points ahead of Rhythms, who is in P3. Cremo's still somehow in the fight for the championship, and then there's just a big hole from everyone else just fighting for the middle positions of the pack. So it still is kind of a four-way fight for the championship. In my opinion, Cremo could have been on the road to being world champion already, but several unlucky performances didn't enable him to really do so. Yeah, 7 minutes left until quali ends. As you can see, it's very, very entertaining so far. And we're still gonna be waiting. Oh, that's a Ferrari spinning, as is always the case with the Ferrari spinning out. So let's just hope that he got that out of the way in quali and not in the race. Yeah, people are attempting to better their lap times. Skills Virus did so, but still not enough to get near the top two. Lewis actually improved his lap time as well. Now Preston is going to come across the line to improve his lap time, and it's not enough. It's an improvement, but not by much. So Lewis and Preston still very close, separated by 1/10. Skills Virus also separated by 1/10. Jake Marsh by 3, and then the rest are just desperately trying to catch up. Everyone is off the track. Everyone's doing their own things, I guess. Yeah, 6 minutes left, and everyone is invalidating. Everybody's going back to the pits. Guys without times still in the pits. Yeah, really not much interesting happening at the moment. Thankfully, Rhythms decided to go out, but he's not rushing anywhere, as you can see, obeying the speed limit that is on the roads of France, going 80 kilometers an hour throughout the whole first sector. So he's gonna be starting his lap soon with himself and Team Ducky, and Preston has his lap invalidated. So yeah, we're just gonna be looking at cars staying in the pit lane or going around on the circuit that is not really interesting, to be honest. If the commentary cuts off at any point, I probably went to sleep. And I imagine when the French GP arrives this year, I think everyone will be doing the same thing that I will be doing. So, yeah, here we go. Rhythm starting his first lap. Probably not the last, but as we've known him for a long time, he likes to invalidate all his laps to the end of the quali, and then risks it, tries to push as much as possible, finishes in the midfield, and then has to come back. At least that was the case in many races. That was a little bit of a lockup going into the end of the first sector. Another lockup there. It's not hurting his time in any way, I don't think. Maybe he will get a tow from his teammate. Okay, that's some nice coordination. Matmar giving his teammate a tow on the Mistral straight, and then lets him by. At least Matmar learned how to do teamwork now that he's out of the Ferrari. At least Jake Marsh won't have the same problem since he's the only one in Ferrari at the moment. And then Matmar cut the chicane to give him a tow again. That's actually really good, but Rythms definitely isn't aiming for pole since he is on the mediums. But this could definitely help get him further up the grid. Since there's 12 people, it's actually a really good strat to go on the mediums. Since you will be starting very far up the grid and you will have fresh mediums to start the race with. You will not get hurt so much by losing time to the guys on the softs, since there's not enough guys on the softs. And he finishes the lap to go P7, which is not ideal. Actually behind his teammate, which is kind of ironic, but I guess it's still not a bad thing. If we look at the tires, he's the only person to go on the mediums. Cremo finishing his lap, that's P6, so he demotes the two Mercedes down by one more place. And then we have Herod and Timbed not attempting to do a lap. So we're just gonna be waiting for people to finish their legal laps. We have 3 minutes left. The only interesting person out there is going to be Jake Marsh finishing his lap right now, and then we're gonna be waiting on how it plays out between Lewis and Preston. I think Preston is going to be starting his lap now. He's probably gonna get a tow from his teammate as well. And Jake Marsh improved his lap time, but not by much. Oh, actually, that was quite much, but he's still behind Skills Virus. So let's go on board with Preston, who immediately pulls out of the lap. Okay. Cool. Never mind, so Preston won't do a lap. Johto invalidated his lap, Cremo invalidated his lap, Matmar struggling to improve on himself, and then he just cuts the turn, as is so... Oh. I really don't like this track, to be honest. Ryan Sims in the pit lane, TM Ducky invalidated his lap. Samuel attempting to somehow find a way into the field, as he is almost 3 seconds behind everyone. And that's not good. Yeah, 1.5 minutes left. Still waiting impatiently for Timbet to finish his lap time. And Rhythms retire from the session in the pit lane. Sure. Timbet has the reputation to not do quali when quali is actually happening. In an F2 league I'm commentating this evening, he's also very, very patient with going out for quali. Out of half an hour, we're just waiting for 27 minutes for him to go out, and then he does the lap. But if he does a good lap, then I don't really care, to be honest. Just bring some excitement. Presto starting another lap. Hopefully this one will be more interesting, and it is. Okay, he's purple there. Now Lewis is getting held up by the Alpha Tauris, but it looks like he got a tow, so that's not really a problem. Yeah, so let's go on board. Jake Marsh, for some reason, also retired from the session. That makes sense as well, but yeah, we're arriving in the final minute of quali, so let's just hope something actually interesting might happen. We're still gonna be waiting for Herod, who actually won't even start his lap. Yes, very interesting. So Lewis will be finishing his lap. Any improvement will probably reserve him the spot on pole, and the improvement is there by almost 3/10, so Preston really needs to get a move on, and I don't think he can manage to get half a second more in the third sector. There's not really much opportunities to gain. It's mostly just hairpiny, slow corners. No other way around it. So Preston is going to come around the final corner to finish his last lap, and it's not enough. It's not enough. It is an improvement, but not enough. And Preston finally will not be on pole position. And no Williams will be on pole. So maybe Lewis wasn't lying in the chats about being the best in France. It's kind of a little bit too late for him to start getting good results, but he is in the Red Bull and not the Ferrari, so maybe the curse is there. Bamar almost tried to take out Skills Virus, who improved, but not by enough, and that's actually everyone finishing quali, so Red Bull getting very, very good over the driver changes, and yeah, they're definitely gonna try to do something about the fact that they're 6th in the constructors, mostly due to the fact of the unluckiness that Skills Virus had over the races. And yeah, that's the grid for you. Matt got disqualified, so that's why he was off the track for some reason. Can't explain it, but I'm very certain that we will have a lot of info about it in the chats. Yeah, we're just gonna be waiting for the race, I guess. Alright, we are back with the formation lap going into this race. Just to look at what tires people are starting on. Matmar for some reason finishing last and then switched to hard, so he's gonna be basically the medical car that goes around behind everyone on lap 1 and then goes into the pits, except he's just gonna be there at the back forever probably. We're not gonna see a battle between Rhythms and Preston because they're on different tire compounds, so probably till the end of the race those two will not be in contact. It's just gonna be more or less carnage between the Red Bulls and Preston, and hopefully we will see a battle between someone, because 27 laps around France with only 12 people that are on 3 different tire strategies. Yeah, that doesn't promise to be a very exciting race. Let's just hope it somehow shuffles the Drivers' Championship. Unfortunately, Lewis is very far from everyone else, so he's not going to be joining even if he won. But one can only hope that from 12 people on no changeable conditions in France, we will have an actually exciting race. And we're gonna be waiting quite a while. Thank God the lobby will not crash today. And we're just gonna be waiting for the 5 lights to go out for French Grand Prix of CWR, and we are underway. And it looks like nobody jump-started this time, so that's a good thing. The 2 Red Bulls will be immediately in contact. Everyone is ghosting. Preston on the outside of turn 1, going side by side with Lewis. Skillsvirus holding the position for the time being. Preston spun! Preston is immediately off the track. That was a very questionable incident between him and Lewis. That promotes Jake Marsh up to P3. Jodo will try to avenge him, but he's under attack. Oh, that's a big crash between him and Timbet, who ran into the rear of him and then got smashed by the AlphaTauri of Herod, who somehow gained 5 positions after just 1 sector. That's a terrible start for Preston, but Matmar had an even worse one. So he still stays in last place. Now it's a battle between Jodo and Hero. That's a lot of ghosting. Thankfully, no damage, probably. But, oh my. Okay, so Hero somehow gained 7 positions inside of 2 sectors. And the Red Bull are in a 1-2 situation with the number 1 driver in Lewis. Also being protected by Skillsvirus, who has a reputation of being very aggressive, so... And we have a safety car. Okay, Timbet retired for some reason. Not sure what happened there, but yeah, after an exciting start, I think we needed to have a reality check. And he left the session immediately, so out of 12 runners, we only have 11. The 2 Mercedes are at the back of the grid. One would hope that we could have that in real life as well. Then we have Preston, so at least the grid is at least a little bit shuffled up, according to the Drivers' Championship. Now half the field is in the pits, going on the mediums. This really doesn't go into Matmar's hands, who... Okay, Rhythms apparently had a penalty, and he's going to the end on the hard, so different strategies from different people, as everyone who stopped goes on to the medium, so definitely a 2-stop, but Rhythms is gonna go to the end. Okay, this really doesn't play into Matmar's hands because half the field served their pit stops under the safety car, and he's still on hards without a pit stop. So this is not a good start from him, not a good start for Mercedes in general, also not for Williams, and yeah, this is a wet dream for Christian Horner and all of Red Bull right now. But let's just wait until the end of the race, because this won't last, in my opinion. But one can only hope. Jake Marsh patiently gained 2 positions out of that carnage. And we're just going to be waiting for the cars to stop going around for another 2 laps around this boring circuit to finally do something interesting. Only 1 retirement so far, but we're still on lap 2. We didn't even go 1 full lap, so let's just hope we won't see many retirements. Cars will be close at the restart, so there's still a possibility of that happening. And yeah, the Red Bulls are getting really close to each other. Let's hope they don't get a penalty for doing that. Because if Lewis got denied another good result out of sheer teammate stupidity, that would be a classic, but it would be very disappointing. So yeah, 24 laps ahead of us. Probably many more of them under safety car conditions. How exciting is that? Yeah, so the top 4 still remains on the same softs. Then Cremo on mediums, Matmar on hards, and then the rest. Also, Preston actually went on to the hard, so him and Rhythms doing the one stop to the end. They will definitely be counting on the fact that Lewis will have a lot of traffic, a lot of problems, and not good enough pace to run away on those softs. Because he still needs to cover 1 pit stop. And he will already have 3 laps of softs into the stint. So really it's just about like 3 or 4 good laps on the softs, and then they will just fade away. But the good thing is he will be on fresher tires once he stops, so there's still a possibility of catching back up. But it's still all to play for. The only thing that really changed was 1 retirement, so yeah, only 11 people. How exciting is that? Safety car thankfully coming in this lap. Unfortunately, with so many factors contributing to the race not being so exciting, we're not going to see any changeable conditions. So we're just going to be hoping and praying that people will not crash into each other and force a safety car, because I am not going to sit here all day. But what we will do is watch how Lewis restarts the race. I wonder if they're in a communication with like the Red Bull boys, if they're communicating, because last time someone did something that was really related to team orders, they said that they weren't communicating at all. So let's see how this plays out. No overtaking happening just yet, but I guess the dirty air train will keep the overtaking from happening, and we're just gonna be waiting for DRS to get finally activated. No big gaps forming just yet, but I am counting on the soft tire runners to run away as fast as possible. And that looks like a possible move from Jodo. Going on to Matmar, not really, but the tire compound difference is there, so Jodo really needs to get a move on and overtake Matmar as soon as possible, because he's gonna get hurt in the aftermath. And he does it. That was quite easy. He just let him through, and the battle doesn't continue. Okay, that was a very quick battle. Apparently, Preston overtook someone. That was Samuel he overtook. And Samuel is on the medium, so Preston is driving really well on the hards. And the 2 Alfa Romeos, as is always the case in real life, last place, both of them. Yeah, no DRS still. But Lewis sets the fastest lap, as we kind of expected it to. And as you can see on the minimap, the gap between the top 4 and the rest is kind of starting to show. especially between Herod and Cremo. The two Red Bulls are also in a league of their own, and that looks like a battle between Rhythms and Samuel, but it's not continuing into anything just yet. Yeah, still no DRS, so it's just about the slipstream, but the two Red Bull boys are really working hard to getting rid of the Ferrari and just minding their own business, trying to build up the gap as much as possible so that when they pit, they don't lose too much time to the hard tire runners. Rhythm's in a battle with Samuel. People are really liking this 130R wannabe, which is turn 10 in France. And it looks like Rhythms will overtake Samuel around the outside into turn 11. That was a really good move. And Preston also overtook Matmar. So that's one more place gained, and the Mercedes are still very much struggling after this restart. I'm guessing Preston isn't rushing anywhere. Thankfully, the DRS is finally enabled, and the Ferrari isn't outside of the DRS zone, at least not yet. So he can still join the battle for P1, but there is a difference between Cremo and Herod. So DRS will not happen between the two of them. And when this DRS train gets activated, the two groups will definitely get separated in the long run. Lap 6, still nothing interesting happening, and we're basically split into 3 groups of people. There's soft tire runners doing their own thing, Cremo and Johto trying to catch up but failing to do so on worst compound of tire, and then there's the hard tire and the guys that pitted under the safety car. Preston will be under a lot of pressure right now because he's not catching Johto very fast, and he's gonna be at the head of a new DRS train with Matmar and Rhythms right behind them. So yeah, that's gonna be a lot of pressure, especially concerning the championship standings. This is the first race of the second half of the season. So we're getting into the final business. People are really starting to think intensely about the aftermath of the championship. And we still have 20 laps to go. And the two Red Bulls are not attacking each other. It's kind of looks like team orders a little bit. Jakemar's still failing to attack them. Obviously, we were just waiting for Matmar to get a penalty. And there he goes. And TM Ducky gets a penalty as well. That's what he gets for abandoning me in the commentary box. So, Cremo's still not in the DRS range of... Oh, never mind, he is. But I'm not sure if he will gain much time since everyone has DRS. And the Red Bulls still not attacking each other, but although Skillsvire is having a look onto Lewis, but Lewis, being the master of France himself, probably knows how to manage this stuff. The ERS difference is also very big between the two of them. So Lewis, even if he gets overtaken, still has the possibility of getting back up. However, the gap between him and Preston, for example, isn't so dramatic. So virtually, it will be Preston in the lead after also the mediums and the soft tire runners will stop. But the tire wear difference towards the end of the race will be very big. So it's just gonna be a matter of pure pace towards the end, but right now it's just a game of strategy and just trying to pull away as much as possible in the early stages. That really keeps the racing going, especially around France. Thankfully, strict corner cutting rules is enabled, so no one can just blindly cut a chicane like they do in Quali. That's a yellow flag, and that's TM Ducky spinning. So apparently the Ferrari curse has to be transferred to someone, and that someone is the Ferrari number 2 team this time. since the Ferrari doesn't have a number 2. So there we go. Second spin of the day. Coincidentally, it is the Ferrari and Alfa Romeo that spun. How? What are the chances? What are the chances? Another DRS straight produced. No overtaking whatsoever. And we're still gonna be waiting for the soft tire runners to go into the pits to make something interesting happen. The gap between guys who stopped during safety car and those who didn't is really starting to widen. Now it's 4 seconds. After penalties it could be 7. But we're on lap 8. So definitely, and they still aren't going into the pits. Oh, never mind. Skills Virus and Jake Marsh going for the undercut. This pit lane is quite large, so the more you can avoid it, the better. So Skills Virus, Jake Marsh in an undercut attempt, and both of them going on the hards. So both of them attempting to do the one stop, and now Lewis is under a lot of pressure because he doesn't have the best softs, and he needs to produce the best lap time he possibly can to not get undercut. So that's going to be a real challenge, even though he claims to be so good at France. The pressure is really on him. Skills Virus was very close to overtaking him. It was just a matter of, it's my teammate, I don't want to do something too stupid, but it was just a matter of time until that overtaking attempt would happen. We still have 18 laps to go, and the place is buzzing with excitement. It's very comparable to the race in Austria last week. Definitely promotes the idea of having France on your calendar. Cremo and Hirot still also not overtaking each other. They're just strategically waiting around. But actually, Cremo overtook Hirot. I didn't even see that because Hirot is on the softs and he's gonna go to the pits right now. So Cremo will get the lead for now. And yeah, the two Williamses will now be on the podium virtually, but it's just going to be a matter of time how fast the pit stop for Lewis will be, and that was a very late pull away from the pits. That could really hurt him. So let's see how close that will be. Skills Virus now on the straight, and it looks like he will get him. He got him. The undercut worked. Skills Virus and Jake Marsh both overtook Lewis, so the undercut worked. And the pressure is now really starting to get to Lewis. Thankfully, he will get the DRS right away, and TM Ducky moves out of the way very fast. I may be scared of how Lewis is driving, who knows, but maybe some action will finally be happening here. Lewis was saving his ERS, Jake Marsh is not doing so well. So the DRS on the Mistral is activated. And the move will be happening, and it's done even before the braking zone. That's how easy that was. No side-by-side battling into the chicane. He just did it. He just did. Okay. Let's just hope that he doesn't break away for more than 1 second, or else we will not have an exciting race on our hands right now. 17 laps to go. Cremo's still not going into the pits. And the hard tire runners as well. That's another penalty for TM Ducky, who is struggling to get second to last place, even though he is on the better compound of tire. I guess he should have saved himself the embarrassment of not racing. But no one can see into his head. Cremo's still building up a good lead on his mediums in front of Preston, but Preston actually got in front of Giotto. I didn't even see that. I apologize for that. And Giotto will now have the job of holding up the two Mercedes, especially Rhythms. And he got in front of Matmar. That was probably some team orders there, because that didn't look like a serious battle. And now Giotto going very defensive into the chicane, keeping him at bay, and Rhythms isn't attempting to do it this lap. He will not attempt it for longer, I think. Jake Marsh, 8/10. Oh, actually, that's a move Samuel's doing on Skills Virus. Look at that. The Alpha Tauri, and that's damage for Skills Virus on his front wing. That was a very dangerous move. From the both of them, this pulls Lewis back into the race. It's going to be almost free wide going into turn 11, but it still just keeps... They're trying to keep it as safe as possible, but Skills Virus has damage on his front wing, and he's already on the hards. He wanted to go to the end, so this is a big disaster for him. He will need to come in as soon as possible, and I think since we saw his short temper, we are expected to see him do more rash decisions, just like Samuel did. In this move, he's not going into the pits. Probably... Oh, look at that notorious dive bomb. And he also enabled Lewis to go through Samuel, and now it's side-by-side battle on the straight that Lewis inevitably will probably win just because of the front wing damage, but Skills Virus is fighting back, but it's not gonna be enough. And Lewis gets the virtual P1 just like that. Right when I mention Skills Virus' short temper, he dive bombs Samuel. He goes wide and lets Lewis past. Free 2 positions for him, and the advantage that Skills and Jake Marsh both gained after pitting earlier than him is just gone. Skills Virus will also hold up Jake Marsh from the front wing damage and from the fact he needs to overtake him on a terrible circuit. Lewis has the opportunity to just run away with it. He already has a 1.3 second gap. This looks like a 2013 Sebastian Vettel, if you ask me. Throughout the 2 Alpha Tauris also battling for worthless 1.2 point positions, but it is an interesting battle. Look at that. Almost Samuel tried to do the switchback, but he's falling down the grid massively, and it's very interesting to see that Herod started 11th, was 4th, and now is 9th. But it probably has to do something with not pitting when the safety car happened, and now Preston and Rythims, as usual, P1 and 2. Also, apart from each other so that we don't see an actual battle. What an exciting first half of the race. Cremo finally went into the pits, and now gives Jake Marsh another obstacle to close the gap to Lewis. So the battle for the lead will not be happening anytime soon. And Preston gets a penalty, so that's gonna make things interesting towards the end. The Skills Virus also in the pits, and he's on the medium, so that's why he didn't go into the pits right away, but that's race over basically. That's why I said in the beginning that I don't expect the Red Bull 1-2 to last. Now look at that, we have a Williams and Mercedes 1, 2, 3, 4. Surprised? I'm really not. I am really not surprised. First half of the race is gone, and yeah, we didn't really see much. It's just playing around with strategies, and maybe there will be some overtaking towards the end of the race, but I don't think it will be. Lewis has a 11-second gap to make up on the Williamses. He is on much better hards by almost 10 laps. So the tire wear difference is there, and he has 13 laps to catch back up to them. But by this logic, he needs to make up at least 1 second a lap. And even though the tire wear difference is there, I don't expect it to be... Oh my god! Okay, so Matmar and Johto had a big collision that we did not see. Both of them spun off track, so Matmar's curse continues even though he jumped out of the Ferrari, and TM Ducky gets another penalty, obviously. So yeah, this makes Lewis's job a little bit easier, at least getting through some places. The gap is now only 4 seconds to those two who crashed into each other, but the top two, as I have predicted, as everyone predicted, well, thankfully at least they are on the same strategy and are in contact with each other. So we will see some action. The question is for how long? It's probably the only action that we will get. As probably no more stops coming. Oh, actually, Matmar didn't stop yet. Okay. But apart from Matmar, I guess the stops are really done. It's just gonna be about the battles. And we have 13 laps ahead of us. And the battles don't seem to be that interesting that yet. Racing is without a penalty. Preston does have one. But Preston has much more ERS to play with as well. So it's just gonna be a matter of time. How much can he hold up Rhythms? What outside factors will contribute to that? What's gonna happen? Preston needs to make up 3 seconds or force Rhythms into a mistake. Or just wait for a mistake. He has absolutely no ERS, 3%. That's probably why he isn't even catching him on the DRS trade, even though he's in a very close slipstream with the DRS. CWR gets the fastest lap of the race. Ducky and Samuel in the pits for whatever reason. Okay. Ducky is on fresh hearts when he has 12 laps left. Sure? Sure. Okay. Never mind. 12 laps left. Matmar and Johto close to each other, but far enough so that we don't get a battle. Fantastic from these guys. Lewis is catching them quite fast. He's already 1 second behind them. So that's 3 seconds that he has made up over last 2 or 3 laps. So the pace of Lewis is actually really good. And Preston going into the pits. Why? Does he have a 5-second stop and go? He doesn't. He's going on to a fresh set of mediums. Okay. I guess the hearts don't last until the end of the race. Well, I did not count with that. So that gives Rhythms virtual P1. But if the hearts really do not last that long, Rhythms will also need to go into the pits. And so will Matmar. And so will Johto. And look at that, Lewis already making his way through these guys. Making the move. Not even halfway through the DRS zone. That's how fast he is. But it looks like he also won't be going to the end on these hearts. Probably. We'll see about that. I don't know what his strategy is, to be honest. But it's a Mercedes 1-2. Yay. Let's expect more of that in real life as well. Matmar's really far behind thanks to that collision, and now Lewis has made his way through the traffic, and now he has 11 seconds to make up to get the lead of the race. There he goes, Rhythms into the pit lane, so Matmar will get the lead for the time being, but he also needs to stop, so Lewis is virtually in the lead yet again. After everyone makes their stop, it's just gonna be a question of will Lewis attempt to make these tires last to the end and suffer, or will he risk it again and go on to the faster tires? That's a question we don't know the answer to yet. I don't know what's happening to Jake Marsh. Why is he so far back? He has fresh hearts, probably also attempting to go with them to the end. But Matmar is 16 laps on the hearts, and Lewis will be attempting to go 17, so that's not so bad. And Jake will attempt to go 18. Okay. So the tire wear will probably not be so good. At least I'm hoping, and that's a battle between the AlphaTauri and Williams. And I do not understand why Johto is so slow on better tires. But Jake Marsh will be attempting to get a move, to make a move on him as well, and he does it. That was very easy. Both of them are quite on old hearts, so I do not understand why. why it was so easy. Maybe Jodo isn't just so good on these. Well, anyway, Cremo also is looking actually really good. He has the freshest hearts out of anyone. Johto is in the pits. That was probably why it was so easy. But Cremo has the freshest hearts there are, and they will last to the end for sure. And actually, that was a move between Lewis and Matt to keep Lewis at bay into turn 1, which is not really an overtaking corner, but if it works, it works. So the only challenger to Lewis right now will be Cremo, and he still has an obstacle in the way in Matmar. Preston is on fresh mediums with Rhythms, but they're still very far back. Oh, there goes the obstacle. That was quick. Okay, so Cremo will be fighting for the lead with Lewis. This is a battle for Lewis for pride, and Cremo will be probably fighting to get back into the championship because the gap between them and the group of Preston, Jake, and Rhythms, which are all the championship contenders to Cremo, are in very intense fighting on slower tires. Look at that move! Oh my. Turn 12 for Preston, that was very interesting. That's a yellow flag, and that's Team Ducky again probably spinning, and he's going to the side of the track, and he's DNFing himself. Oh well, he's attempting to do so. Probably hasn't heard of a pit lane retirement to not cause a safety car, but I guess he does what he does. Oh, there he goes. Virtual safety car. Thank you for not retiring in the pit lane to not cause any harm to anyone. Thank God. Okay. He will probably rejoin the party, hopefully. So we have 8 laps left. Virtual safety car is here. For now. No more pit stops, probably. For anyone. And this kind of kills time for Preston, Jake, and Rhythms to catch up to the front group. The top 3 is very far away from everyone, but Matmar is still on the same set of hearts that he started with. 18 laps on the hearts, they are really dying. Maybe he's gonna try to do the fastest lap on fresh softs to the end of the race, so he will give up 1 position, so Cremo's gain on Preston will not be so big. And since Preston will be finishing in front of every single championship contender, he will get even more points. So lucky us to make the championship more exciting. 2 Alfa Romeos have retired, and it's just 10 people racing. At least 7 of them are not in the direct fight for any positions. So lucky us, but Matmar going into the pits, probably for a set of softs, to try to make the fastest lap of the race, to steal at least 1 point from everyone. And yeah, it's gonna be Preston's time to shine. He has 7 laps to the end of the race. He's on the freshest compound of tire, the best compound of tire. There's still a gap of about 4 seconds he needs to close to get the win. He still has a penalty, however. Jake Mert has one as well. Rhythms doesn't. Yeah. Let's just hope no further accidents happen. Looks like Team Ducky will not be joining us for some reason. Never mind. Okay. So the eyes will be on Preston. How far can he close the gap until the end of the race? And then we'll see that if we have an actual race battle on our hands. So far it doesn't look like it, but look at that. Cremo making a move into turn 12. Into the inside. Lewis attempting to do a switchback, and they're still side by side. Look at that. Nice stuff, but Cremo makes it work in the end. Lewis tried to make it work around the outside. Didn't work out really much. And Cremo gets the lead of the race for now. Okay. He also has more ERS to play with. So this battle for the lead might actually be turning in Cremo's favor. or maybe even into Preston's favor, because this battling will give Preston time to catch up, but the penalty is still a big factor, so he needs to hope. Oh, look at that. Rhythm's also in a battle with Jake Marsh. Down the inside he goes into turn 1, and yeah, easy move actually. But yeah, okay. So Preston needs to hope that these two guys make a mistake of some sort, get a penalty, and only then he will be able to maybe steal the win, but it doesn't look like he's gonna be able to. So Lewis didn't make a move on this DRS straight because Cremo has the best tires, but only by 3 laps, not that big of a difference. It's more of a difference what the ERS is, because Lewis is dying on as far as ERS management goes, and Preston is still catching up ever so slightly. Rhythm's right in P4, so the championship gap will not change by much between the top 4, but it will surely be extended from other people trying to join in. So for the next half of the season, it's just gonna be about 4 people who, if they will attend at least, that's gonna make the races a little bit more interesting. Lewis will not be attempting a move on the start-finish straight. Kind of logical to do so. He really needs to manage ERS if he wants to get in front of him, though. And it's not enough battling. Look at that, Rhythms also gets a penalty, so his advantage to Preston is now gone. And so if Lewis and Cremo keep it clean and just stay like this, they will get P1 and 2, and definitely will finish on the podium unless they crash each other out. Apparently, Ducky left the session, so I guess he definitely will be not joining us. Never mind. Okay. Lewis still not attempting a move, even though he's using a lot of his ERS, and he's still dying. Preston not catching up at all yet. I guess the tire wear difference is really gone, and it's not impacting the pace of these guys at all. Rhythm's in a stable gap. Jake Marsh not able to close up, and then there's just no man's land for everyone. Fortunately, Skillsvirus after that incident will be finishing very far down the grid. Probably the unluckiest driver in the league, to be honest. And Lewis wasted another opportunity of not attacking Cremo, and the time is actually running out quite quickly. We only have 4 laps left, and Mr. France himself really needs to work. Get to work. And for some reason on this stream, so thank you for that. So the battle for the lead's still not going on. Lewis not using his ERS, but is dying of it anyway. I don't understand what's going on, but it's just a stalemate between everyone. Preston is catching only like 1 or 2 tenths every single lap, and that's not enough. Everyone on places 3, 4, and 5 have 3-second time penalty, so they will stay the same as they are. But I'm guessing Lewis doesn't feel the risk of attacking so early because he just doesn't need to. He's probably very comfortable with all these guys having penalties in places 3, 4, and 5, but this tiny difference between Rhythms and Jake Marsh will actually result in Rhythms being ahead. Oh no, sorry, they will be equal on points. So at least the second place battle will get much more interesting. Also considering that Cremo, if he finishes first, he's gonna be a few points ahead of these guys, and he's gonna actually pick up P2 in the championship. Preston will obviously stay in P1, but the battle between him and Cremo will get much more intense. So at least we're hoping for that to happen, but again, another DRS trade, another opportunity wasted. I don't know if Lewis is not working his exits off of Sector 1 or it's just Cremo being awesome, but I guess it just happens. It's just happening. Preston is actually losing time to these guys. So that's not a good thing as well. So, yeah, Preston's chances of stealing the place of these two guys is basically non-existent, since he would also need to make up the penalty place. So we're just gonna be sitting with Lewis for the rest of the race, watching him try to make it work. He's using a lot of his ERS to try to catch up on the start-finish trade. Not an overtaking opportunity, as you can clearly see. He's very much struggling. Yeah, who's gonna win? That's the question. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. The tire door difference isn't actually so big. It's only like 3 laps, so nothing too dramatic. But yeah, it's just not happening. The half second is just unbreakable for Lewis. Preston's still not catching up. Rysim's still not catching up. Jake Marsh still not catching up. Yeah, wonderful. What a race this has been. Scums Virus, as is always the case, struggling towards the back of the grid after battling in the front. I guess Austria was just a one-time thing for him to be towards the front. 2 laps ahead of us still. And we're just gonna be hoping that the battle will somehow start. And another DRS zone, and he's still not close enough. If they wanted to make France more interesting, just remove the chicane and just, I don't know, do something with the track, because I don't know if track is really contributing to this race not being interesting, but it certainly is a factor. So Mr. France has the second to last opportunity to get to Cremo. The gap is the same as it has been for almost half the race, and it still isn't breaking. It's just an enormous stalemate that these guys are in. Preston is slowly gaining a few tenths, but it's just not enough. I think it would be more fitting if we just looked at future races. Next week we're gonna be in the Netherlands, then Japan, then USA, then Mexico, and the finish of the season will be happening in Brazil. So Netherlands also another track very famous for overtaking, but a new addition to CWR we haven't tried before. So we're hoping it can bring more exciting racing. Well, 4 tenths is the gap between P1 and 2, and Lewis is in front of the last overtaking opportunity of the race to try to make it work. Both of them have saved some ERS. It's just gonna be a matter of the exit, and Cremo got a better one. Before the straight it was 6 tenths, and yeah, Lewis is just not close enough. It's 3 tenths, 2 tenths. Oh, look at that. Maybe he's gonna go for the move. Oh, look at that. Diving into the inside, spins out immediately. That was a desperate attempt to make it work. And Lewis screwed it up in the chicane in the last overtaking opportunity. That was very desperate. And that kills further excitement in the Drivers' Championship as Cremo will gain less points on other championship contenders. So thank you, Lewis, for making the championship less exciting in the long run. But anyway, actually no, he will get at least Rifeham's position, if not Preston's. But anyway, Cremo will finish the race finally in a deserved win, to be honest. A very consistent drive from him. Preston finishes P4 actually. Lewis actually finishes P2 thanks to penalties, but yeah, that was very desperate nonetheless. Rifeham's actually finishes ahead of Preston, so I guess Preston had more penalties. So Preston loses some positions. Championship contenders gain some positions on him, so the gap at least straightens out a little bit. But the race itself was not really interesting, to be honest. At least we will have a good. At least this is a good build-up, and it can't be worse. Other races can't be worse. I'm hoping. Let's just hope the interview will be more exciting. I hope I can get these guys into the interview room, although I doubt that we can have all three of them. Well then, let's just attempt to get these guys into the interview. Right. Thankfully, actually, someone joined.
Yes.
Do you have Lewis and Cremo added? Because I don't. So can you add them?
Me neither, but I can. You can just search them up. Like, can XRT Cremo? Was it? Yeah, I invited him, and then Lewis. Lewis. What is his name? Like Lewis 0.
Lewis 05.
And then the.
XRT Cremo.
Yeah, I got him.
Really, let's
Yeah,
hope we can
I
actually have an
invited him.
interview with more than 2 people this time.
That was stress, that race.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt so much stress watching that race.
You were probably really bored, but then.
You think? You think? I was alone here, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
I don't see them joining, to be honest.
Wait, who? Lewis?
Lewis and Cremo.
Lewis should, but I don't know, it's Lewis. He's a strange guy.
Lewis is still in the lobby. So. Mm. Hmm.
Uh, is he
Okay,
coming or not?
should we just start a few questions and see if he joins? Or
Well,
Yeah.
alright, let's just start the interview. So, thank you for joining me. This time it's actually more than 2 people because we hear Rhythms, Preston, and his family in the background with some vacuuming
No,
noise.
just me, sorry.
Never mind. So, someone's family joining the interview, thank God. Yeah, how was the race for you guys?
You can start first.
um, I wouldn't say it was boring, but it was just a bit meh. Like I got taken out at the start. I wasn't too pissed off, because I knew the strategy would play in my favour. But then I couldn't catch Lewis and Crimo, and then I got a BS penalty because I got a penalty on a straight, which only idiots do. So that wasn't fun. And from then on, I just tried to get the gap to Rhythms, but I couldn't. So I lost points in the championship.
Yeah. What was it? 43 or 34,000, something like that.
32,000, yeah.
Yeah, how exciting! How the gaps were so close. Oh my.
Not
Well,
just Lewis and Kumar
well,
slipstreaming each other
to
and then at the back.
to comment on this, I mean, the race itself not so, let's just call it diplomatically, uneventful, but at least it's a good build up for an intense championship. I would love to ask Lewis if he was here. What the hell was that dive bomb that he did?
He wants to report it.
How did he dive?
He wants to
Yeah,
report it?
yeah, he wants to report it. I literally saw it happen.
What do you
So
mean
much,
report it like it was Cremo's fault?
Yeah.
How?
I don't know why he went for it,
know.
because he had so much ERS when he tried to come back at me.
Well, both of them were around 20% towards the end of the straight, and then I just saw Lewis just absolutely ignore the braking zone and just plow into the side pod of Cremo and then just spinning out in the process. Like it was blatantly obvious that I was just a desperate dive bomb
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted
to
nothing less
save
than
the
the win.
race. I don't understand how can he be pissed about that. I mean, Cremo drove probably. At least it was consistent. If it was boring, but it was consistent at least.
He was. He did well. He's definitely back in the champion. I don't think he was out of the championship, but he's definitely back into it now.
Well, he still is. The top, you guys, the top 4. I mean, it could have been a bigger championship battle, but people aren't just attending races anymore, so that's fun. So at least the top 4 is kind of close. How were you guys feeling like when you were towards maybe even last, like in the further back group after pitting under the safety car? Like there was a majestic gap between you and the rest of the field. Like, were you at all concerned?
No, because we were on hard, so we could gain like 10 seconds near the end. It's also what we did. So.
Yeah. I was hoping to stretch it to softs, but the tyre where we were losing too much time to the people.
Did you see what happened to Skills Virus when he lost that wing? I think it was a battle between him and Lewis.
Yeah. No,
Wait,
it was
Samuel,
no,
I think.
there was 2 battles that fucked him over. He did have a battle with Lewis. I think they did touch and he lost a bit of wing. But then he had an incident with Samuel which lost him a lot of time. So
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'll have to review it.
the message I want to give to all the people is just pick your battles, because also Samuel just took out the leading car while he was on pit stop behind. Just, I don't know.
Well,
A bit optimistic.
I really appreciate you guys trying to do some driver changes so we have different guys in different teams, but the Ferrari curse keeps continuing anyway.
Yeah.
Jagmar spun twice in the Ferrari in quali, and then if the Ferrari curse cannot be on the Ferraris, then it is on the Ferrari number 2 team, and both Alfa Romeos retired. Like, what's going on? And Matt Mara also spun
The
several.
Mercedes are gonna come through because Matt didn't. No offense to him, he didn't do great today. Elon got third. Did you get?
Yeah, third.
Yeah, third. So I mean, I don't know. We'll have to see. Really, we've got what 5 rounds left. Now it's
Yeah, let's
drivers
just
is gonna
let's
be
just not give the new season France first of all.
No,
Oh,
but
so
France, the
Spain and
racing,
France are off. Okay.
the racing was pretty good. It's a snore fest with all the different strategies.
Oh, you think? You think it
Yeah.
was a Snowfest? It was so eventful.
I think with a full grid, this race would have been really good, but yeah, the gaps were just too big.
Yeah, you don't have to tell me that twice. Well, thank you for at least attending. Hopefully, next race we will actually have the race winner in the interview room. So,
Would be nice.
yeah, I'll guess I'll see you next time on a much more eventful race.